Part 9. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 81. Although Yang Lin had some guesses in his mind before seeing the specific things, when he saw the few things that Mr. Chu took out, there was still a trace of surprise on his face. The few items I saw were a jade pillow dipped in blood, a bronze mirror, a pearl the size of a quail egg, and a gold lock. The shapes of each of these items are exceptionally exquisite, and you can tell at a glance that they are made by top craftsmen. Of course, Yang Lin's focus at this moment is not on their materials and craftsmanship, but on the traces of black air lingering above them. This black energy cannot be seen by ordinary people, but it is particularly conspicuous in his eyes. Sure enough, these are all open weapons, although they are handled very cleanly. And if I guess correctly, the original owner of these things should be a member of the royal family. As soon as Yang Lin said these words, Mr. Chu's face suddenly became very ugly. The viewers in the live broadcast room also had different expressions after listening to Yang Lin's explanation. Clear weapon? What is it? Can someone explain it to me? They are the burial objects of the dead. This explanation is clear enough. I blanch it so violently. What's all the fuss about? 70% of the antiquities circulating outside are dug out of the soil. That's true. Strictly speaking, the terracotta warriors and horses are all visible weapons. But how did Yang Lin manage to tell at a glance that these are burial objects? Is it possible that there is really some death energy on them? I don't know if there is such a thing as death energy, but those who are buried underground all year round with corpses are probably a little bit evil. Most people don't recommend buying them because they will be punished if found. That's right, I don't know if it will be bad luck, but if someone reports it, it will be a crime of reselling cultural relics. No wonder the old man is so scared. It turns out he is afraid of this. While everyone in the live broadcast room was talking to each other, Mr. Chu also repeatedly checked the few things in front of him. The more he looked at him, the worse his face became, and he obviously saw that these things were unclean. No, I have to go find them too and return the things to them. If anyone finds out, I'll be dead. However, just when he was about to turn around and go downstairs, Yang Lin reached out and stopped him. Old man, I advise you not to go out for the time being. If you go out now, you will be in trouble. Hearing Yang Lin's words, the old man stopped immediately. Yang Lin also explained at this time. These things should have been with the deceased. For example, the pillow should have been under the neck of the deceased. And this pearl should be the corpse-fixing pearl held in the mouth of the deceased, so it is extremely unlucky. But there is a talisman here in Pandeo. If you carry it with you for 3 days, you will be fine. While talking, Yang Lin took out a yellow talisman drawn in advance from his sleeve and handed it to Mr. Chu. When Mr. Chu saw this, he quickly took it with both hands. Thank you so much, Taoist priest, but I still have to return these things to them. What if they are sent by the enemy to trick me, then I can't tell. But just when he was about to go downstairs again to find the 2 Zhou brothers, the Cheongsam woman from before came up in a hurry. Boss, something happened. I heard someone outside saying that 2 people were hit and killed by a car at the pedestrian street. And they also said that the ones who were killed seemed to be the Zhou brothers. As soon as she finished saying this, Mr. Chu's face suddenly became even more ugly. For a moment, he remembered what Yang Lin had just said about the Zhou brothers. Thinking of this, he quickly looked at Yang Lin aside. Taoist priest, have you noticed it a long time ago? Yang Lin did not deny this, nodded slightly and said. Yes, I just said that the death aura on both of them is too strong. There should be a big disaster coming in the near future, but I didn't expect it to come so soon. As soon as these words came out, everyone was in an uproar. Is it so scary that living people will die if they are contaminated with death energy? It's so evil. This is already the third person Yang Lin has killed. I don't think it's a big deal. Some of the famous tomb robbers in the past didn't end well either. Indeed, whether at home or abroad, there are some ancient tombs that are so evil that some even cause everyone who has entered them to die. It seems that the two brothers of the Zhou family are indeed tomb robbers, as Yang Lin said. It seems that you should go to the antique market less often in the future. If you get infected, you will have to consider yourself unlucky. Don't worry, in today's antique markets, 9 out of 10 items are fake. Now that those two people are dead, what will happen to these weapons? Obviously realizing that this problem is not just for the audience in the live broadcast room, Mr. Chu also thought of this. If these things come from normal sources, then he will undoubtedly get a big advantage. After all, before he transferred the money, the owner of the goods was gone. But the problem is that not only do these things come from evil sources, but they are also very evil. They are simply hot potatoes. In desperation, he could only look at Yang Lin with pleading eyes. Taoist master, you have to help me with this matter. Help? You don't need Pandeo to help you with this matter. In fact, the easiest way is to just hand them over. As soon as Yang Lin made this suggestion, Mr. Chu's eyes suddenly lit up. The next second he slapped his forehead and said, I never thought that as long as I took the initiative to hand it over to the Cultural Relics Bureau and then explain the situation, this trouble would be gone. After saying that, he quickly took out his mobile phone and dialed a phone number. Director Song, I'm Chu Chun Song, I had tea with you before. It's like this. I have received several cultural relics that are suspected to have been stolen from tombs. After he finished the call, he also breathed a long sigh of relief. While he was patiently waiting for the staff of the Cultural Relics Bureau to arrive, Yang Lin looked at the several artifacts in front of him with great interest. While looking at it, his fingers were still calculating. The more he calculated, the more frightened he became. Everyone around him saw that his face was serious, so they didn't ask any questions. Until several Cultural Relics Bureau staff arrived. Several staff members from the Jinghai Cultural Relics Management Department exchanged greetings with Mr. Chu and then took photos of the unearthed artifacts. After taking the photo, one of the leading experts wearing reading glasses said to Mr. Chu again, Boss Chu, thank you for your cooperation. We still need to bring these cultural relics back to the Institute for further identification. It's a pity that the two tomb robbers you mentioned have died unexpectedly, and we can't trace where these things came from. If they are still alive, maybe we can find a large-scale tomb group. This is a major discovery for the entire Jinghai archaeological community. But as soon as he finished speaking, Yang Lin on the side suddenly interjected. Maybe I know where the tomb they robbed is. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 82. In the hall on the second floor, experts from the Cultural Relics Management Department were just about to take their things and leave when they heard Yang Lin's words. In an instant, everyone's eyes were focused on him. When they came up earlier, they also noticed this young man in Taoist robes, and they just regarded him as a junior who went to pay homage to Mr. Chu. Now after hearing what he said, several people immediately became interested. Mr. Chu on the side saw this and hurriedly introduced him. Professor Huang, this is Taoist Yang. He was the first to see the cultural relics unearthed just now. Maybe he really has clues about the tombs. Upon hearing Mr. Chu's introduction, the leading old professor's expression immediately became serious. Master Taoist, if you know something, please tell us. Of course Yang Lin nodded first, and then continued. If Pandeo's calculation is correct, these things should all come from an ancient tomb of the Han dynasty. The general direction of the tomb should be to the southwest of Jinghai city. There is a small river 5 kilometers around the tomb. There should be a mountain peak with an altitude of no less than 800 meters directly above the tomb. Pandeo just looked at the map on his phone, it should be right here. As he spoke, Yang Lin pointed to a place called Dian Mountain on the map on his mobile phone. Everyone originally thought that Yang Lin could only provide a rough clue. I didn't expect that Yang Lin would directly give the exact location, even to the top of the mountain. As a result, the people in the Cultural Relics department became a little suspicious. May I ask how the chief knew that the tomb must be at this location? Could it be that the two tomb robbers from before told you? Hearing Professor Wang's question, Yang Lin smiled slightly. I only met those two tomb robbers once. The reason why I concluded that the mausoleum is located here is based on calculations based on those cultural relics. Secondly, with the help of a little bit of searching for dragon acupoints, I realized that this is a rare feng shui dragon acupointment. Even if the two tomb robbers didn't rob here, there must be a big tomb here. Those cultural relic experts had thought about many possibilities before, but they never thought that Yang Lin's explanation would be like this. Everyone was stunned for a moment. The fans in the live broadcast room called him awesome after hearing Yang Lin's explanation. Awesome, Yang Lin can still search for dragons' acupoints. You can tell at a glance where those cultural relics came from. If he hadn't been under our noses all the time, I would have suspected that he was the real tomb robber. Did you unlock a new skill? What else can't he do? He's only in his 20s. How can he find so much time to study these weird things? This skill is very practical. You can tell where there is a big tomb at a glance. It's very punishing. Come on, an idol who can rob graves is so sexy. I'm a native of Jinghai. I know the location Yang Lin mentioned. I used to graze cattle there, and I could often pick up some tiles. I didn't expect that there was a large tomb there, from the Han Dynasty. Brother upstairs, I'm chatting with you privately. Don't mess around, you're breaking the law, brother. Yeah, think about it clearly. Damn it, if someone really ran over and robbed the tomb, would Yang Lin be considered leading a crime? The live broadcast effect of Yang Lin's live broadcast room is really full. Just as netizens were talking about it, the cultural relic experts also reacted. Little Taoist priest, you can't joke about this kind of thing. Are you really sure that the tomb is where you said it is? After hearing this, Yang Lin's expression remained as calm as before. Of course, Pandeo is still sure of this kind of thing. And that place is not far from here. You'd better rush there now. If you're late, I'm afraid that the hole left by the two tomb robbers will be discovered by some interested people. As soon as these words came out, those people immediately stopped asking any more questions. After expressing his gratitude to Yang Lin, he immediately left Tengguzai with the few unearthed artifacts. Obviously they had believed what Yang Lin said. After a few people left, Mr. Chu thanked him profusely. After thanking him, he seemed to think of something again and quickly asked again. By the way, Taoist priest, you must want to buy something when you come here. Take a look, if there's anything here that suits your eyes, just take it. As soon as he finished speaking, the Cheongsam woman from before whispered a few words into his ear. The next second, Mr. Chu turned around and left. When he came back again, there were several more items in his arms. Taking a closer look, it was exactly the same things that Yang Lin had taken a fancy to before. A pair of guqin, a jade ruyi, an old ginseng, an ancient painting, and a few feathers. Taoist priest, you have really good eyesight. This guqin is called Juxiao Huanpi. It was copied by the palace craftsmen of the Song dynasty based on the same model as Master Lei Wei of the Tang dynasty. Although it is not as famous as the four in the Tang dynasty, it is not far behind. It is a rare and unique item. It was given to me by an old friend for consignment. It is not convenient for me to give it to you, Taoist priest. As he spoke, a hint of apology appeared on his face. Yang Lin also expressed understanding. Mr. Chu, how much does this piano cost? Pandeo wants to buy it for him. After hearing Yang Lin's question, Mr. Chu thought for a while and reluctantly said a price. My old friend is quite stubborn. He will only sell this piano for 15 million. If you really want it, Taoist priest, I will try to persuade him. Just after he finished speaking, Yang Lin said without hesitation. It's only 15 million, which is very reasonable. How to pay? As soon as Yang Lin said these words, Mr. Chu didn't react at all. The people who were filmed by the program crew even had wry smiles on their faces. As for the audience in the live broadcast room, they were already in a frenzy. 15 million? Very reasonable. Is teacher Yang crazy? First he spent 5 million to buy a stone, and now he wants to spend 15 million to buy a gherkin. It's because I don't understand this world anymore. Money is no longer money. I had to hesitate for a long time even if I spent 1,500 to buy something, but he just took out the 15 million. It can only be said that we don't understand the world of rich people. I finally figured it out. He really just came out to spend money today. He doesn't want to spend all the more than 100 million he earned yesterday today. A mansion is just gone. Taoist priest, do you really want to buy this piano? In the antique shop, Mr. Chu confirmed again and again. Yang Lin still nodded this time. A minute later, as Mr. Chu's cell phone rang, the 15 million yuan had been transferred successfully. The transaction speed was beyond his imagination. You must know that this is a piano that has not been sold in the past 5 years. But obviously this is just the beginning. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 83. After successfully buying the gherkin named Juxiao Huan Pi, Yang Lin looked at Yu Ruyi beside him again. Jade has a very important significance in Taoism. It is the essence of Yang and can channel spirits. In previous lives, those gems were even used as currency among monks. It can not only be used to make jade talismans, jade guis, jade seals, jade swords and other magic weapons, but can also be used to store mana and spiritual energy, and can even be used to set up formations. Yang Lin was very satisfied with the Ruyi piece of jade that was as long as his forearm in front of him, both in terms of material and size. So this time he also directly asked the price. Old man, what's the price of this jade Ruyi? Hearing Yang Lin's question, the old man was not as surprised as last time. If Taoist master sincerely wants it, I'll give him 500,000 yuan. It's not an old thing. 500,000? It's so cheap. Master, do you have any other larger jade items here? If the quality is good, even poor people will want it. Taoist priest, why do you want so much jade? Mr. Chu asked, slightly confused. However, he quickly found various jade ornaments for Yang Lin. There are white marble, jadeite, xiaoyu, and blue field jade, and there are dozens of them. He originally thought that Yang Lin just wanted to pick a few items at random. But he soon discovered that he was wrong. Among the dozens of jade articles, as long as the material and size were acceptable, Yang Lin actually wanted them all. In the end, Yang Lin chose 28 pieces in total, with a total price of 8 million. When many jade articles were piled together, the eyes of the audience in the live broadcast room were blinded. If it weren't for Yang Lin, I would never have seen so many jades in my life. It must weigh dozens of kilograms. Does he buy jade by the kilogram? It's too trenchant. I finally figured it out. He really likes jade, and he only likes big ones. He doesn't care about the shape or anything else. Let's put it this way, I am not as decisive as him when I go to the vegetable market to buy pork. Tisk tisk tisk, another 8 million has been spent. This feeling of spending money unscrupulously is really great. 5 million add 15 million add 8 million, 28 million was spent in less than an hour. It's really cool to watch other people spend money. Why did he buy so much jade? He can't even put it in his house. Can't you smash it and hear the sound? Just when the audience was still sighing at Yang Lin's generosity, Yang Lin looked at the old wild ginseng in the brocade box. Among the pile of things just now, this old mountain ginseng is the most inconspicuous. But what Yang Lin likes most is this old wild ginseng. Even if the medicinal power in this old mountain ginseng is less than 1% of the elixirs he cultivated in his previous life. Old man, I also want this wild ginseng. Please give me a price. The old man who was packing jade for Yang Lin immediately stopped what he was doing when he heard Yang Lin ask for this ginseng. The Taoist priest probably bought this old mountain ginseng to make medicine. Hearing this, Yang Lin nodded slightly. Taoist priest, you must have found the right one. This wild ginseng is over 100 years old. It was sold to me by an old ginseng farmer. I spent 1.8 million when I bought it, so I'll sell it to you, Taoist priest, for 1.8 million this time. When they heard that this ordinary-looking ginseng was selling for 1.8 million, everyone in the live broadcast room didn't know what to say. By this time, they were all numb. What they didn't expect was that Yang Lin actually wiped out the old wild ginseng from 1.8 million to 2 million in the end. This wave of operations left everyone stunned. Until Yang Lin said the next words. Old man, if you have the extra 200,000, could you please help them pick out some jade items to carry with them? It's quite hard for them to follow me. I'll have to rely on them to help move things later. Hearing Yang Lin's words, several program staff squatting in the corner were stunned for an instant. We have one too. No, Teacher Yang, this is too precious. Yeah, it's too expensive. It's tens of thousands of yuan, how can we have the nerve to take it for nothing? There were a total of 6 people in the program crew following Yang Lin, and each piece of jade was worth more than 30,000 yuan. The 30,000 yuan gift was given away at once, which not only made several staff members of the program team feel flattered, but also made the audience in the live broadcast room cry with envy. However, Yang Lin didn't give them a chance to refuse, and quickly picked out a small gift for each of the 6 of them. In exchange for the exchange, they also had a bunch of wooden boxes containing jade in their hands. Even the 9 heavens ring pei Yang Lin that they had previously spent 15 million to buy was also given to them for safekeeping. Although he can fit all these things into his sleeves. But it was obviously inappropriate to be exposed on such an occasion. I cried to death, Yang Lin is really too generous. Indeed, I have never seen such a generous artist. These people are really honored to follow him. Damn, I'm really sore this time. I don't know how the other staff members will feel when they see this section. They are probably more bitter than us. Old man, do you know who painted this painting? In front of the camera, after pocketing the old wild ginseng, Yang Lin asked again casually. However, this time Mr. Chu shook his head. I really don't know about this old man. However, it seems that this painting was not made by anyone. It has no signature or seal. It is very sparse. The artistic conception of this painting is quite good, so I spent 5,000 yuan to buy it. If you like it, Taoist priest, I'll give it to you for free. I can still afford it. But when Mr. Chu said these words, Yang Lin's eyes were filled with an inexplicable look. In the eyes of others, this painting is not a masterpiece, but in his eyes it is completely different. Because he saw something different in this painting, Tao. That's right, this painting that others see as ordinary has a hint of Taoism. If that person had gone one step further, he could have entered Taoism through painting as a mortal, ascended to heaven and become an immortal. Although this painting is not a Taoist work, it is not much different. On the one hand, he can gain enlightenment through this painting, and on the other hand, he can also refine this painting into a magical weapon. Maybe the scenery in the painting can turn virtual into reality and form a world of its own. Calculating it this way, this painting is actually the most valuable thing in this pile. It can't even be measured in terms of money. Thinking of this, he looked at Mr. Chu again. Old man, this painting is too precious. In exchange, Pandeo can promise you a request. As long as it's not too excessive, Pandeo will definitely agree to whatever you ask for. As soon as he said these words, Mr. Chu was dumbfounded. Is a painting worth 5,000 yuan so precious? But soon a look of ecstasy appeared on his face. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 84. Although Mr. Chu still hasn't figured out what Yang Lin was interested in that painting. But this is no longer important. In his opinion, Yang Lin's promise is obviously more important. If nothing else, with his medical skills of living dead human flesh and white bones, just a promise from him might be able to save people's lives. What's more, he also has many unique skills. If you can ask such a person to help you at a critical moment. Thinking of this, Mr. Chu quickly said respectfully. Since the Taoist priest insists on doing this, I can't refuse. But don't worry, Taoist priest. I will never trouble you, Taoist priest, unless it is absolutely necessary. As he said that, he quickly picked a suitable brocade box and put the painting in it. After the painting was installed, only a few unknown feathers were left on the table. If everyone could still feel the value of the previous items, then they really couldn't understand these few feathers. Does anyone know what these feathers are? I don't know. It looks a bit like an eagle, and a bit like a crane. These items shouldn't be antiques anymore. Definitely not. This kind of feather looks good. It should have fallen off recently. It's useful, why is Yang Lin still interested in it? Could it be that they have some unknown magical effect? Just as everyone in the live broadcast room was expressing their inner doubts, Mr. Chu also picked up the gray-black feathers. After a long while, he said with a look of memories. I remember these feathers were sent here together with the old wild ginseng. The ginseng farmer told me at that time that it fell from a crane that was as big as a small house. But I don't understand very well. Anyway, I didn't spend any money, so I stayed here. I wonder if you see any tricks in it, Taoist priest. Hearing the old man's question, Yang Lin picked up a feather, glanced at it and replied. It is indeed from He-Yu, but I don't know about it. I just happen to be missing a feather fan. These crane feathers are in good condition. So that's it? It's worthless anyway, so let's give it to the Taoist master together. While talking, Mr. Chu found the packaging box again and put the large crane feathers in it. So far, all the things that Yang Lin was interested in have been successfully captured. The total cost is 25 million. Including the stone purchased earlier, 30 million was spent in one morning. When the program crew walked out of Tengu's house with boxes of various sizes, the audience in the live broadcast room didn't know what to say for a moment. It is said that women consume impulsively. Why do I feel that Yang Lin is an impulsive consumer? From 8 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock now, in less than 2 hours, 30 million was spent. The speed of spending money is really amazing. Sure enough, antiques are not accessible to ordinary people. Other artists may not even earn 3,000 yuan in one morning. The contrast is too strong. If 30 million is used in a second-tier city like ours, you can buy dozens of houses, but here in Yanglin it becomes dozens of boxes. Yanglin doesn't treat the program staff as outsiders at all. It's all just a matter of course. I would be willing to take this bag in exchange for it. 2. While the audience in the live broadcast room was filled with emotion, the 6 staff members of the program team were in pain and happiness. Although the things they were holding were not very heavy, they were too expensive to hold up. A random jade ornament can cost hundreds of thousands. If one accidentally falls, just wait until you go back to sell the house. Not to mention the brother holding a gookin worth 15 million. Although we were walking on flat ground, we felt like we were walking up a mountain of knives and down into a sea of fire. At this time, they suddenly understood why Yang Lin had just bought each of them a portable jade article. On the one hand, it is to make up for the spiritual aspect, and on the other hand, it is to protect them from any problems. Under such high-intensity pressure, several people finally returned to the car smoothly. Looking at the small space in the car in front of them, several people said jokingly, "How about putting these things in the front and let's sit in the trunk?" Of course, they were just talking. "Teacher Yang, do you want to buy anything else?" After getting in the car, the makeup artist in the group asked in a low voice. Hearing this question, Yang Lin shook his head after thinking about it. "No more. Let's buy it here today and come back when we have the chance next time." That's it. Immediately, several people in the car couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief at the same time. Only the driver responsible for driving was very energetic. "I was afraid that I might collide with someone else's car on the road." Of course, what he was worried about wasn't the beat-up second-hand van he was driving. What he was worried about was that if the treasures contained in the car were damaged, people would not be able to afford the compensation. After all, who would have thought that such an inconspicuous van could contain tens of millions worth of things? Fortunately, there were no near misses along the way. After more than half an hour, everyone successfully returned to the hotel. Those things were also carefully delivered to Yang Lin's hotel room by the staff of the program team. "By the way, Teacher Yang, are you still running a stall this afternoon?" Before leaving the hotel room, a program staff member suddenly asked. What he didn't expect was that as soon as he finished speaking, Yang Lin seemed to have a premonition of something. "I won't leave the stall, but someone should be here soon." "Huh? Someone is coming here? Who is it?" Looking at the people with question marks on their faces, Yang Lin did not answer directly, but turned around and walked into the room. After a while, he walked out again. "Let's go. If nothing else happens, others are already waiting below." At this moment, everyone felt as if they were being scratched by a cat, but Yang Lin refused to say anything. It wasn't until they came to the first floor of the hotel with strong curiosity that they discovered that someone was already waiting there. Looking at the man's appearance, the photographer following Yang Lin recognized him immediately. "Oh, I remembered. Isn't he the staff of the Cultural Relics Bureau that I met at Tengu's house before? How did he find this place?" "I don't know, maybe it's related to the previous ancient tomb." Just when everyone noticed the Cultural Relics Bureau staff member, he also noticed the people who had just come down from upstairs, and quickly walked to Yang Lin. "Taoist Master, we have finally found you. We have indeed found an ancient tomb from the Han Dynasty according to the location you mentioned. However, we encountered some problems during the excavation that we couldn't solve, so Professor Huang asked me to come to you, Taoist priest." As soon as he said these words, both the program staff and the audience in the live broadcast room were all stunned. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 85. Everyone has already learned about Yang Lin's many skills, but they did not expect that Yang Lin actually found the ancient tomb for the Cultural Relics Bureau without any clues. Before and after, I just took a look at the unearthed cultural relics and looked at the map. I'm sorry, I actually found it. This is too outrageous. It's not just outrageous, it's simply outrageous. That Han tomb has not been robbed for so many years. It must be very hidden. People in Yanglin know where it is without even going to the scene. Fortunately, he is in the entertainment industry. If he were not in the entertainment industry, he might have made a fortune through some other means. Then he should continue to stay in the entertainment industry. If he goes to do other things, it will do no harm to society. But then again, the Cultural Relics Bureau specializes in archaeological excavations. Is there any professional knowledge that they can't handle? Do you want to invite Yang Lin? I don't quite understand either. Could it be that there are zombies in the tomb? That's why you came to Yang Lin, a Taoist priest, to take action. Stop talking nonsense. Where do zombies come from in modern society? There are people here who can tell fortunes, why can't there be zombies? I saw something again today. Dea Zhang Yang, it's like this. After we received the prompt you gave us, we immediately organized a team and rushed to the scene. And they quickly found the robbery hole. In the process, Professor Huang and another team member wanted to find the entrance to the tomb through this robbery hole. I didn't expect that they lost contact as soon as they entered the tomb. Just when the audience was shocked that Yang Lin's speculation became reality again, the staff member of the Cultural Relics Bureau also revealed the reason why he approached Yang Lin. After listening to his story, a look of understanding appeared on Yang Lin's face, and he immediately asked one more question. Are there many ancient trees above the tomb? Is the entire tomb shady? Although he didn't know why Yang Lin knew this, the Cultural Relics Bureau staff member still nodded. Yes, what you said, Taoist master, is correct. Moreover, the geology there is very unstable, and we don't dare to break ground on a large scale easily. That's right, that ancient tomb should be built against the mountain. The tomb supports the mountain. If the soil is easily moved, the entire mountain will collapse and the tomb chamber will be directly destroyed. This. As soon as Yang Lin said these words, the expressions of everyone present changed. They really couldn't imagine what kind of status the tomb owner had during his lifetime, so that he would take such extreme measures to prevent tomb robbing. Of course, what they don't understand even more is why Yang Lin understands this. It can't be said that he has robbed tombs before. Before anyone could figure it out, Yang Lin said again. Professor Huang and the others are probably trapped in the tomb chamber. We have to get there quickly. If they go too late, if the oxygen inside is exhausted, they will have to be buried with the owner of the tomb forever. Upon hearing this, the Cultural Relics Bureau staff member immediately did not dare to delay any longer and quickly led Yang Lin and others out of the hotel. Not long after, the program cruise car followed his car towards the outer suburbs of Jinghai City. Until this time, everyone in the live broadcast room was still a little unresponsive. I wonder, is today's program so exciting? In the morning it was about stone gambling and selling antiques, and in the afternoon it turned into tomb robbing. What about tomb robbing? Be more professional. It's called cultural relic excavation. I'm really convinced. Can you believe it? The label of this variety show now says workplace reality show. I laughed to death, but what I said is not wrong. Several other artists are indeed working in the workplace to make a living. Only Yang Lin, a Taoist master, is showing off here. Yang Lin is really showing off, no refutation is allowed. It's worth it? For the price of a VIP, you can watch several types of variety shows. Yesterday was the forensic special episode, and today is the archaeological special episode. I have forgotten why I originally followed this variety show. Now I just want to see Yang Lin go to his grave. Other celebrities go to the sea to make money, but our Yang Lin goes to the big tomb and plays like a red chicken. Stop talking so much, just tell me whether this variety show has relieved your work pressure. It used to be said that reality shows have scripts. I can't guarantee that for other variety shows, this one definitely doesn't. Who dares to write such a script for any variety show? After the show cruise buns were racing all the way, they finally arrived at the foot of a mountain that looked like a wild goose. At the same time, a temporary camp appeared in front of them. In addition to dozens of people dressed in different styles, there are also several large construction machinery in the camp. And at the foot of a mountain not far from them, a large hole that collapsed for unknown reasons was clearly visible. Just when the program crew focused the camera on the big hole, Yang Lin had already taken the lead and stepped out of the car. Perhaps seeing Yang Lin, a middle-aged man with a helmet and a stubble on his face quickly walked towards him. "Hello, you are Taoist Master Yang. I am Yu Gang from the Jinghai City Archaeological Team. Professor Huang has mentioned you before. Xiao Wang should have told you the specific situation." Hearing the middle-aged man's words, Yang Lin nodded. While the two were talking, another woman in her 30s, wearing a small suit and short hair, came over. As soon as she approached, she looked Yang Lin up and down. "Team Yu. Is he the Taoist priest that my father said he must find before he lost contact? Why do you look so young? You must have found the wrong person, right?" The words were full of doubts. "Mr. Huang, it is indeed this Taoist priest. It was this Taoist priest who previously asserted that the ancient tomb was here." The Cultural Relics Bureau staff member who led Yang Lin and others over quickly explained. But his explanation didn't seem to work. The mean-looking woman first glanced at the time on her watch, and then said impatiently to a man wearing a safety helmet beside her, "We can't wait any longer. My father has been out of contact for more than an hour now. He is so old. What if something goes wrong? Start the excavator right now and dig down that hole." "I don't believe it. It's just an ancient tomb from the Han Dynasty. How can any mechanism stop modern construction machinery?" After receiving the woman's instructions, several people immediately started the construction machinery parked aside and prepared to violently excavate the tomb. Both the people in the Cultural Relics Bureau and the archaeological team were helpless against her outrageous behavior. Obviously this woman's identity is not as simple as it seems. Seeing this scene, Yang Lin was not anxious at all, and the corners of his mouth just curled up slightly. In less than 2 seconds, all the construction machinery that had just been started shut down. Not only that, but the people responsible for controlling the machinery also fled one after another after making bursts of ghostly screams. "Snakes! Lots of snakes! Run!" Such a sudden change instantly attracted everyone's attention. And at this moment, a slight sound suddenly came from the mountain. The next second everyone's eyes widened. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 86. At first, when they heard the excavator drivers yelling, everyone was a little confused. On the contrary, I am still a little curious. After all, theoretically it is possible to dig out anything by driving an excavator. Just digging up a snake is not worth their fright. Until they saw what happened next. Following their gaze, they saw countless colorful snakes of various sizes emerging from the dense forest, centered on the stolen cave. Sometimes they disperse and move forward, sometimes they gather into a ball. The smaller ones are only as thick as chopsticks, while the larger ones are almost as thick as an adult's thigh. Even some people who think they are not afraid of snakes feel their scalps go numb after seeing such a situation. When everyone in the live broadcast room saw the scene through the lens of the camera, they were almost frightened out of their minds. Holy shit, oh shit. I'm going to die, I'm going to die, this is like stabbing a snake's nest. Why are there so many snakes here? I have never seen so many snakes in my life. Don't stand there, cameraman, run away. I can't run away even if I want to. They are dead. They are dead this time. This is probably the last image left of them during their lifetime. This ancient tomb is really evil. So many snakes have popped out before the excavation started. Just when the audience in the live broadcast room felt numb, everyone in the program team also reacted at this moment. Perhaps because the fear was too strong, their legs were a little weak at this moment. Seeing that the rest of the archaeological team had begun to run back desperately, they unconsciously looked at Yang Lin. Unlike others, when Yang Lin faced the incoming swarm of snakes, there was no trace of panic on his face, and his expression was unprecedentedly calm. And it was his calm appearance that made everyone in the program team beside him calm down inexplicably. The next second, under the gaze of several members of the program team, Yang Lin casually took out a small jade flute from his sleeve. After he put the jade flute to his mouth, a strange sound of music came out. To everyone's ears, there seemed to be nothing special about the music. But when the sound reached the group of snakes, the restless group of snakes suddenly stopped altogether. It's like someone is controlling it. Seeing this scene, the archaeological team members who had been scared away earlier also stopped in fear. Even the panicked face of the woman in a small suit had a hint of weirdness. Although they didn't know why the snake group suddenly stopped chasing, they were not deaf, and naturally they all heard the sound of Yang Lin's flute. Isn't it the Taoist priest's flute that made the snakes stop? One of the archaeological team members gasped and whispered. It's unlikely. Is there such a magical thing in this world? What's so magical about this? Playing the flute to control snakes has been around since ancient times, but those ancient jugglers could only control one. I heard that there used to be a strange man in Bashu who knew the snake-repelling spell. It is said that as long as he covers himself with a special potion and puts on snakeskin clothes, he can control the snakes with the sound of his flute. I have long said that this tomb cannot be touched casually, but Mr. Huang doesn't listen. Something must have happened now. No way, who told her to have an awesome brother? It seems that this Taoist priest is really a strange person. Amidst the murmurs of everyone's discussion, the flute sounded again, and the snakes retreated again and again. In the blink of an eye, the snakes disappeared into the forest again. By this time, everyone was basically sure that the snakes were indeed controlled by Yang Lin's flute. They couldn't help but change the way they looked at Yang Lin. Even the audience in the live broadcast room, who thought they knew Yang Lin quite well, were silent at the moment. After a few seconds, the number of barrages in the live broadcast room increased again. Another new skill. What kind of rich and versatile idol is this? It's really a small knife that pulls my butt. It opened my eyes. A small flute can control thousands of snakes. What's the principle? I just heard the sound of his flute, and I felt a little uncomfortable all over. Could this music also cure me? I understand, it turns out that I am a snake lover. Can anyone who knows vocal music come out and explain how this is done? You look down too much on those of us who study vocal music. Is this what vocal music can do? This is magic. Actually, it's very simple. I can do it when I play the flute, but the snake I control is not the snake downstairs in our house. As soon as I play, their family will come up with a baseball bat. It's magical. Does anyone know? No one knows, so I just made it up. According to my speculation, the sound played by Yang Lin should have formed some kind of resonance in the brains of these snakes. Well, I can't make it up anymore. While everyone in the live broadcast room was still speculating on the reason, the staff of the program team who were following Yang Lin suddenly remembered that Yang Lin seemed to have gone back to his room before setting off. Suddenly they understood something. With a hint of curiosity, a staff member couldn't help but ask. Teacher Yang, you shouldn't have guessed that there will be a lot of snakes here, right? What they didn't expect was that as soon as the question was asked, Yang Lin nodded. That's right, this mountain is blocked by a mountain in front, and the whole mountain is shady. The water vapor on the mountain is heavy, and there is a high probability that snakes, insects, rats and ants will breed. As soon as their construction machinery was turned on, these snakes, insects, rats, and ants immediately sensed it, so it's not surprising that they all ran out. After all, if they didn't run away, if the mountain collapsed, they would all be buried inside. After listening to Yang Lin's explanation, not only everyone in the program team suddenly realized, but even the faces of everyone in the archaeological team changed drastically. While feeling scared, he also looked at the woman named Huang with resentful eyes. If Yang Lin was not here just now, they would either be swallowed up by the snakes or buried by the collapsed mountain. In short, it is a dead word. And the woman named Huang seemed to be aware of this. The next second, she walked up to Yang Lin with a look of fear on her face. This time she was no longer as domineering as before. Taoist priest, it was my fault earlier, and I apologize to you here. I know you are a strange man, and I beg you to save my father. As long as you are willing to save my father, you can make any conditions. As soon as she finished speaking, a jeep with military plates on its face came quickly from a distance. He soon stopped next to everyone. After the vehicle stopped, an officer in military uniform with a stern face stepped out of the vehicle. Seeing this officer, the woman surnamed Wang's face suddenly showed a hint of surprise. "Brother! Why are you here?" "Dad." Before she could finish her words, the officer took off his coat, revealing his muscular body, and then walked towards the cave. But before he took 2 steps, a jade-like palm pressed on his shoulder. "This general cannot go forward. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes." Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 87. The appearance of the officer attracted everyone's attention, and the woman surnamed Huang called him eldest brother. Everyone immediately realized that this officer might be Professor Wang's son. But before everyone could figure out whether it was what they thought, Yang Lin's palm fell on the officer's shoulder. Feeling the astonishing force coming from his palm, the officer's brows instantly wrinkled. He raised his hand and was about to knock Yang Lin's palm off. But what he didn't expect was that when he tried to take Yang Lin's hand off his shoulder with his right hand, Yang Lin's seemingly weak palm seemed to have taken root on his shoulder. He couldn't move away until he used 100% of his strength. In an instant, he realized that he was meeting an expert. He couldn't help but look at the owner of that palm. A young Taoist priest who looked to be in his early 20s. Thinking of the content of the phone call just now, the officer immediately said in a calm tone, "You must be that Taoist master Yang. My name is Huang Pengju. I am Professor Wang's son. I am currently the Major General Commander of the Infantry Division of the Beijing Naval Region. I know you are a strange person, Taoist master, but as a son of man, I must go down at this time." As soon as the young officer finished saying these words, the audience in the live broadcast room immediately went into an uproar. Is he so awesome? He should be only about 40 years old. He is already at the level of Major General. His future is unlimited. No wonder that woman was so tough just now. It turns out there is such a relationship. If I had a brother general, I would be more arrogant than him. If there was a dog lying on the roadside, I would slap it twice. But this general is much stronger than that woman just now. My father is in danger, so I will be the first to do it. Indeed, but Yang Lin also said before that the tomb is too dangerous. If he goes in like this, what's the difference between him and committing suicide? What kind of bad luck did the 2 tomb robbers who went in earlier have? Even if they went in, they still came out alive. So I'll die when my luck runs out. General Huang, it's not that Pandeo is stopping you, but you can't find your father if you go down now. If Pandeo's calculations are correct, some strange methods should have been used in the construction of the corridor in this tomb. Anyone who doesn't understand the principles will only die if they go down. In front of the tomb, Yang Lin looked at Huang Pengju in front of him and said solemnly. After hearing his words, everyone present felt annoyed. They couldn't dig up the tomb, and they couldn't go in. They had been in the related industry for so many years, and they had never encountered such an evil tomb. But soon they seemed to think of something again, and quickly looked at Yang Lin. When they thought about it, since Yang Lin knew all this, Yang Lin must know how to solve it. And the fact is exactly what they thought. Under the gaze of everyone, Yang Lin spoke again. Although this mountain cannot withstand large-scale excavation by machines, there should be no problem if it is done by manpower alone. Later, Pandeo will arrange for a few people to dig several air holes directly into the main tomb from the side of the robbery hole to discharge the turbid air in the main tomb. After the turbid air is almost exhausted, Pandeo will take a few strong people down to the tomb. Under Yang Lin's careful arrangements, a complete rescue plan soon appeared in everyone's minds. After making the plan, everyone at the scene did not dare to delay too much, and immediately started moving according to the plan Yang Lin said. After more than 10 minutes, several small holes were dug out in several different locations on the mountain. As soon as the small hole appeared, waves of decaying aura jumped out from inside. Seeing this scene, everyone couldn't help being surprised and happy. What was surprising was that Yang Lin actually found the key nodes of the tomb at a glance, as if his eyes had a clairvoyant function. The good news is that as long as the harmful gases inside are exhausted, there is at least no risk of poisoning when entering the tomb later. After the turbid air inside the tomb was almost exhausted, Yang Lin casually lit a yellow talisman and threw it in. Seeing his move, several members of the program team couldn't help but cautiously asked, "Teacher Yang, what is this talisman for? Is there something unclean in it?" Hearing this question, everyone present pricked up their ears. But Yang Lin gave them a strange look. "What are you thinking about? Pandeo is just testing the oxygen content inside. The burning speed of the talisman paper is normal, which means the oxygen content inside is also normal. We can go down." After saying that, he arranged for several workers to dig with tools while everyone was speechless. After digging for less than 10 minutes, a thick bluestone slab appeared in front of everyone. Seeing this bluestone slab, the eyes of everyone in the archaeological team suddenly lit up. The broken dragon stone is the broken dragon stone. This should be the entrance to the tomb. I didn't expect that the Taoist master would find it so quickly. Why do I feel that the Taoist master is so familiar with everything here? We've been looking for so long and still haven't found it? There are mountains outside the mountains, and there are people outside the people. There are always some things that cannot be explained by science. It seems that this is indeed a royal tomb. This dragon-breaking stone must weigh at least several thousand kilograms. Once it is put down, it cannot be opened again by any method in ancient times. So what do we do now? Blow it up? Are you crazy? You didn't hear what the Taoist master said before. This tomb is supporting the entire mountain. As long as this dragon-breaking stone is broken, the entire mountain will collapse like dominoes. For a while, the situation at the scene reached a deadlock again. Of course, many people have proposed solutions. It's like placing a large number of jacks under the dragon-breaking stone, and then lifting the dragon-breaking stone up. Another example is finding 2 excavators to lift the broken dragon stone. However, in the end these plans were all rejected by them. Until Yang Lin came up with his solution. Why is there such trouble? You go find some stronger wooden stakes. After Pandeo lifts up the dragon-breaking stone, you can just put the wooden stakes up. As soon as he made the suggestion, everyone present looked at him in disbelief. Even Huang Pengju is no exception. Taoist master, did I hear you correctly? Do you mean that you want to lift this thousands of kilograms of dragon-breaking stone with your bare hands? As soon as he finished speaking, Yang Lin nodded. Yes, this dragon-breaking stone is a little heavier, but I still have a little strength. After saying that, he rolled up the cuffs of his Taoist robe, revealing his jade-white arms. The next second, his palm was inserted straight into the gap under the dragon-breaking stone. No one even saw how he exerted force, and the dragon-breaking stone weighing several thousand kilograms made a rumbling sound. Then it slowly rose in the dull eyes of everyone present. It wasn't until Yang Lin's voice came again that they finally came to their senses. Hurry and get something for support. Although Pandeo has some strength, he can only support it for about half an hour. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 88. Looking at Yang Lin, who was holding thousands of kilograms of dragon-breaking stone with one hand, everyone present, except for the staff of the program team, looked like they were looking at monsters. Especially Huang Pengju, who was born in the military. He thought that if he was asked to lift a stone weighing several hundred kilograms, he could still do it, but only under 300 kilograms. In terms of time, a dozen seconds at most is the limit, and if it goes any longer it will probably cause a nosebleed. As for the dragon-breaking stone in front of him, let alone lifting it, if he could move it, he would have to be pulled for a urine test. But the little Taoist priest in front of him looked weak and his thighs were not as thick as his own arms. Not only could he lift the broken dragon stone with one hand, but he also looked like he still had some strength to spare, which made him unable to figure it out. Unlike the silent scene, the live broadcast room was already filled with barrages. A little strength and can only last half an hour are words spoken by humans. This is because the Olympics have just ended. If Yang Lin's ability had been discovered earlier, no other country would have been able to win medals in weightlifting. Isn't this dragon-breaking stone hollow? Is it really possible for a person to lift a weight of several thousand kilograms? It's hollow. I see your mouth is quite hard. Why don't you go down there and hold it up with your mouth? I'm not a human anymore. If he punches me, he won't be able to afford a big bag. I'm talking about my hometown in the mountains. I understand, what he basically practiced on the mountain was martial arts. What kind of mountain-moving Taoist is this? I don't know how much time passed, but the archaeological team finally found a few thigh-thick logs and placed them under the dragon-broken stone. At this point, the entrance to the tomb passage is officially opened. Perhaps due to air convection, bursts of cold wind mixed with the smell of decay blew out from inside the tomb. The people standing outside the tomb passage immediately shuddered, and a trace of timidity appeared in their hearts unconsciously. It happened that Yang Lin spoke again at this time. Pandeo needs a few people to follow me into the tomb now. I don't know which of you is willing to go with Pandeo. As soon as these words came out, everyone in the archaeological team immediately looked at each other. If it had been before, they might have entered in a daze. But after experiencing a series of events, they only felt that the ordinary-looking ancient tomb in front of them was extremely evil. After dawdling for a long time, Professor Wang's student took the initiative to stand up. Taoist priest, I'll go with you. As soon as he opened his mouth, Huang Pengju on the side said the same thing. Count me in, I don't believe that this ancient tomb is more dangerous than the battlefield. After the two people came forward one after another, there was no sound at the scene. Until the 6 staff members of the program team raised their hands fearfully. Let's go with Teacher Yang too. Yes, I think it's safer to go with Teacher Yang. After all, if there really is something, Teacher Yang probably won't leave us alone. After hearing the words of a few people, others did not react much, but the audience in the live broadcast room became excited. Beautiful, I thought I wouldn't see Yang Lin going to the grave. The director remembers to give them a few salary increases. Tisk, 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 Yang Lin is not so kind to them for nothing. They really do it when something happens. But I think what they just said actually makes sense. There may be danger if you stay outside, but if you follow Yang Lin will definitely take action if something happens. Stop talking, I will give this variety show 5 stars later. After some negotiation, a temporary archaeological team and rescue team consisting of 9 people were soon ready to enter the tomb. Amid the anxious expressions on others' faces, Yang Lin took the lead in entering the tomb passage. Seeing this, the others behind him hurriedly followed. Everyone thought that this tomb passage should lead directly to the main tomb chamber, but after entering it, they realized that they had thought of things too simply. It was densely packed with forks, like a maze. Of course, this is for other people. Yang Lin, who is walking at the front, seems to have figured out where to go in advance. There is no pause in the steps. After twisting and turning like this for more than 10 minutes, the scene in front of me suddenly became clear. A main tomb chamber that was as large as a basketball court was completely presented in front of everyone. When the light shines on the walls and ceiling of the main tomb, exquisite but unclear murals are the first to attract everyone's attention. My God, there are so many murals. What are they painted on? It's really rare to see a mural like this on the top. Are these people? Why do they all look so weird? What is recorded here cannot be the life of the tomb owner. Just as everyone was curiously looking at the content on the mural, Yang Lin's voice came from the side. What is painted on it is the process of people seeking immortality at that time. The top of your head represents the immortal world. What the walls represent is the human world, which is the embodiment of the tomb owner's prayer to ascend to immortality after death. The weird one over there is the Queen Mother of the West, and the one with wings next to her is the immortal. Hearing Yang Lin's words, everyone present immediately looked over. Teacher Yang, are you telling the truth? A staff member from the program team asked with a puzzled look on his face. Of course, it's a pity that they used the wrong method and pinned their hopes of becoming immortals on others. As he spoke, Yang Lin shook his head helplessly. Then he looked at a high platform in the center of the main tomb, which was also the place closest to the top of the tomb. Everyone saw Yang Lin's eyes glancing over there, and they quickly followed him. Just one glance and they couldn't move their eyes. Because there was a coffin made of red lacquered wood placed on the high platform. More than 1,000 years have passed, and this lacquered wood coffin is still as good as new, with no trace of time left on it. But soon everyone's attention shifted from the lacquered red coffin to the corner next to the high platform. I saw two figures leaning there quietly, and with the faint light of the flashlight, everyone quickly saw their faces clearly. One of the elderly people was Professor Huang, who had been missing for more than 2 hours. Immediately, Professor Huang's son Huang Pengju was about to walk over quickly. But at this moment, Yang Lin stopped him again. General Huang, don't go there, you will be like them if you go now. If it were before, Huang Pengju might have dismissed Yang Lin's reminder. But after seeing a series of Yang Lin's abilities, he unconsciously stopped. But my father. Don't worry, your father's life will be in danger for a while, but the poisonous gas there is too strong. If you go there now, you will fall there if you can't hold it for half a minute. As soon as Yang Lin said this, everyone looked at him in surprise. Until he heard Yang Lin's next explanation. If Pandeo is not mistaken, a large amount of heavy metal was injected into the tomb owner's coffin. The coffin lid had been opened by the two tomb robbers before, and the air entering reacted with the heavy metals inside, causing the poisonous gas to spread. Professor Huang and the others are now in a state of heavy metal poisoning. To be precise, it should be mercury poisoning. Generally, a 5% sodium dimercaptopane sulfonate solution, a sodium dimercaptobutyrate solution or a dimercaprol solution is used, which can be injected subcutaneously, and the symptoms will be relieved after a few hours. The more people listened, the more they felt something was wrong. Until the next paragraph, everyone was confused on the spot. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q in Love is. Chapter 89. Everyone thought that Yang Lin would come up with some other theories, but they never expected that he would say the words mercury poisoning. And the subsequent treatment method made everyone feel unprepared. At this moment, Yang Lin's Taoist robe seemed to suddenly turn into a white coat. As for the audience in the live broadcast room, they also broke out after a period of silence. Damn, I was laughing so hard. I thought there was something evil in that coffin, but it turned out to be mercury poisoning. God, hypodermic injection, isn't this what Western medicine does? By the way, when Yang Lin was in the mountains, he not only studied Chinese medicine, but also Western medicine. It's off the mark. But what he said is absolutely correct. This is the most effective way to relieve mercury poisoning, a medical student passed by. What a combination of Chinese and Western. A Taoist priest who doesn't understand modern medicine is not a good idol. The golden needle in the left hand, the syringe in the right hand, even if the king of hell comes, he will stare at you. In other words, he took a look from a distance and knew that the person was suffering from mercury poisoning and that there was no one left. Then what should we do if we encounter this situation? Before everyone in the live broadcast room could come up with the results of the discussion, Yang Lin suddenly walked towards Professor Huang and the other two. Under the worried eyes of everyone, he quickly came to the two of them, and then lifted the two people weighing more than 100 kilograms like kittens with one hand. Then he brought the two of them to a safe distance with a calm expression. 1 second he said that there was poison there, and the next second he ran over and rescued the person. This move made everyone look stunned. Yang Lin also gave an explanation for this. As long as the mercury vapor is not allowed to enter the respiratory tract, it will be fine if you hold your breath for more than a minute. After saying that, he ignored the expressions on everyone's faces and turned around to explore Professor Huang and the other two. Then he casually took a thermos cup from a program staff member and poured a cup of warm water into the cup lid. The next second, with everyone's suspicious eyes on him, he took out a yellow talisman from his cuff, and with a slight wave, the yellow talisman burned out of thin air. After it was almost burning, Huang Fu was immersed in the warm water. This operation made everyone look stunned. It was a program staff member who reacted first and asked, "Teacher Yang, what are you doing?" Upon hearing this question, Yang Lin answered without thinking. "You can't let Pandeo go find sodium dimercaptopan sulfonate solution for you right now. Fortunately, Pandeo's talisman water also has certain therapeutic effects. Let's just use it for now." After saying that, under the suspicious eyes of everyone, he poured the turbid talisman water in the cup into the mouths of Professor Huang and another member of the archaeological team. The next second after Fu Shui was poured into their mouths, the two people who were still in a severe coma suddenly started coughing violently. Along with violent coughing, a pool of unknown liquid was coughed out of their mouths. If you look closely, you will see that it is a piece of mercury the size of a soybean. Seeing the mercury falling on the ground, everyone's eyes were full of disbelief. I couldn't help but recall what Yang Lin said just now. He calls this a certain therapeutic effect. It's amazing. A bowl of talisman water is more effective than an injection. Things that enter the respiratory tract can be forced out. What is the principle? Yang Lin is still so humble. I'm more curious about what kind of talisman he just burned and what diseases it can cure. Amid the discussion in the live broadcast room, Professor Huang and another archaeological team member also opened their eyes at the same time. Apart from the fact that the body is still a little weak, there are no other side effects that can be seen at all. And this also made everyone present marvel. Huang Pengju said to Professor Huang with excitement, "Father, you finally woke up." Upon hearing Huang Pengju's words, Professor Huang's expression was confused for a while, and then he seemed to remember what happened before, and quickly looked at the red-painted coffin. There was both excitement and fear in his eyes. It wasn't until he noticed Yang Lin beside him that he finally said, "Taoist master, you are right. This is indeed a Han tomb. It is also the most complete Han tomb we have discovered so far, and there is a great possibility that a royal family of the Han dynasty is buried inside." After hearing Professor Wang's excited remarks, everyone present could not help but be affected by his emotions at the same time. Although they don't know much about archaeology, But we also know that the older the tombs, the greater their archaeological value. The Mawangdui Han tomb that was unearthed in Hunan province is an example. It is no exaggeration to say that the entire Hunan Provincial Museum is supported by the Mawangdui Han tomb and the tombs found inside. Judging from the current specifications of this Han tomb, it is not inferior to the Mawangdui Han tomb in Hunan province. Just when everyone's emotions were aroused by this mysterious Han Dynasty tomb, Yang Lin once again focused his attention on the red lacquered wooden coffin. Or maybe it was the faint dragon aura lingering on the coffin. In addition to the dragon's energy, there are also wisps of black evil energy, which are even stronger than the dragon's energy. It is hard to imagine what happened to the owner of the tomb during his lifetime to produce such a strong evil spirit. It seems that it will take some effort to get these dragon energy this time. Thinking of this, he immediately walked towards the coffin. When the others saw this, their first reaction was to follow him, but when they thought of the poisonous gas Yang Lin just mentioned, they drew back. It wasn't until Professor Huang suggested that everyone block their mouths and noses with wet clothes that they did so, and then followed Yang Lin's footsteps carefully. When they followed Yang Lin's footsteps to the high platform, the half-open red lacquered wooden coffin appeared in front of them. The next second they were startled by the scene inside the coffin. I saw that the huge coffin was filled with a large amount of unknown liquid at the moment, and a humanoid silhouette was lying quietly in it. What surprised everyone was that through the liquid, they could vaguely see the outline of the facial features of the person in the coffin. If they looked closely, they could see her black hair, which seemed to be that of a woman in her prime. In an instant, everyone's faces were filled with disbelief. From the Han Dynasty to the present, it must have been at least more than 1,000 years and nearly 2,000 years. What kind of technology can make the appearance immortal? And what kind of identity did the owner of the tomb have during his lifetime deserved such a rich burial? Everyone couldn't help but place their hopes on Professor Huang. But at this moment, Professor Huang also looked confused. How is this possible? For a tomb of this level, there are dragon patterns in the coffin, which correspond to at least one of the princes of the land. But why does the person in the coffin look so young? She is still a woman. This is so out of character. But as soon as he finished speaking, Yang Lin's voice came from the side. This should be a princess, but she did not die of natural causes, and this tomb is not hers. She died for someone else. In short, this is a murder that occurred over 1,000 years ago. As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked, but at the same time they couldn't help but have a trace of doubt in their hearts. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 90. In the ancient tomb, as Yang Lin said what he just said, the air seemed to freeze instantly. The audience in the live broadcast room was also in shock at this moment. No way, he can even see this. The person lying in this coffin can't really be a princess from the Han Dynasty. It's not impossible, but where did the murder begin? It couldn't have been the princess lying in the coffin who told Yang Lin. If that's the case, that's pretty exciting. I would say that Yang Lin's live broadcast room is more interesting and has the flavor of a legendary story. I like to watch it. I have a hunch that this story will be no less than that of Mrs. Xianzui in Mawangdui, Hunan province. All of a sudden, the audience in the live broadcast room was extremely excited. At the same time, Professor Huang in the ancient tomb finally came to his senses. He looked at the girl soaked in the unknown liquid in the coffin, then looked at Yang Lin beside him and finally asked with confusion on his face. Daozang Yang, I wonder where you came to such a conclusion. As soon as this question came out, everyone present looked at Yang Lin. But the expression on Yang Lin's face remained the same. The next second he said slowly in front of everyone. Of course you can tell. Professor Huang just said that this red lacquered wooden coffin has dragon patterns painted on it, plus there are a lot of murals in the tomb about cultivating immortals and ascension. Pandeo boldly speculates that this should be the tomb of the daughter of the last king of Huainan in the Han dynasty. After listening to Yang Lin's reasoning, both Professor Huang and others present suddenly had different expressions. Yang Lin also continued to say at this moment, Pandeo once read some classics about cultivating immortals from the Dragon Kingdom. It is recorded in these classics that the king of Huainan got the elixir given by the immortal, and after taking it, his whole family ascended, and even the chickens and dogs in the family also followed. Sky. Of course, becoming an immortal or something is definitely nonsense, but according to Pandeo's speculation, the king of Huainan should have mastered some methods of making elixirs with cinnabar, that is, mercury. And this daughter of his was the first victim. As soon as these words came out, everyone present looked in disbelief. It's impossible, Taoist priest. The tiger's poison doesn't even eat its seeds. How could the majestic King Huainan harm his own daughter? Yes, ancient people may not know as much as modern people, but they are not that ignorant. Actually, it's not impossible. Many emperors in ancient times killed themselves by taking elixirs. Faced with everyone's doubts, Yang Lin didn't say anything more this time, but motioned for everyone to look at the girl in the coffin. You have also seen that the appearance of this princess from more than 2,000 years ago has not changed to this day. Of course, part of the reason is due to the antiseptic liquid in the coffin, but more of it is because the princess had a large amount of mercury injected into her body before she died. Rather, all the blood in her body was replaced with mercury before she died, which was the primary cause of her death. As soon as these remarks came out, it was like dropping a bomb into a stagnant water. While everyone's scalps were numb due to the shock, a chill emerged unconsciously in their hearts. What a cruel thing it is to replace all the blood of a living person with mercury. It's terrifying to think about it. What's more important is that the person being treated like this is still a young girl. What they didn't expect was what Yang Lin said next. The funny thing is that it was her father who was so cruel to this princess. It's just for an illusory legend of becoming an immortal. As he spoke, Yang Lin's face showed a trace of sadness. The faces of others were full of horror. They could not imagine what the princess in the coffin must have felt before she died. Oh my God, this is too scary. Could ancient people really be so crazy in order to cultivate immortality? It's stupid, it's really stupid. How could you think of injecting mercury into a living person's body? There is no way. Ancient people did not understand modern chemistry. Let alone pouring mercury into their bodies. There are many people who eat raw jade and gold. I seriously doubt that it was not a case of the whole family ascending to immortality at all, but that the whole family was poisoned to death, and later generations beautified and processed it into ascending to immortality. It's very possible, otherwise how could the chicken and the dog have soared? But then again, Jinghai does not belong to the Huainan kingdom. How could a Huainan princess be buried here? Just when everyone was sighing, Yang Lin suddenly asked Professor Huang on the side. Professor Huang, I wonder where you put the things that the two tomb robbers took from here. Hearing Yang Lin's question, Professor Huang didn't know what he was going to do, but he quickly took a backpack from the assistant on the side. Everything is in here, Taoist Yang, what do you want? Of course I returned it to her. These things should be the princess's favorite things during her lifetime, and they should stay with her. As he spoke, Yang Lin opened his backpack and took out the previous artifacts. A jade pillow, a bronze mirror, a bright pearl, and a gold lock. After taking out all the things, he put them one by one into the coffin in front of everyone. Until the last golden lock, his expression changed slightly. Following his gaze, I could see a small line of text faintly visible on this golden lock made of pure gold. After he read this line of text, a look of sudden enlightenment appeared on his face. When everyone else saw Yang Lin's expression, they immediately became curious. Taoist priest, what's on this golden lock? Professor Huang asked first. It seems that part of Pandayo's previous inference was wrong. It's not that the Huainan king doesn't love his daughter. On the contrary, he poured all his last love into his little daughter. While talking, Yang Lin roughly explained what was recorded on the golden lock to everyone present. In short, the princess was seriously ill during her lifetime and there was no cure. And the king of Huainan happened to learn from the alchemist a method of ascending after death. The key point is to find a dragon cave with excellent feng shui to build an underground palace, and then consume a large amount of cinnabar. After 100 years, you will naturally ascend to the fairy world. And he did not leave this opportunity to himself, but to his favorite little daughter. This is also the reason why the owner of the tomb does not match the specifications of the tomb. Hearing this, everyone could not help but sigh. They did not expect that there was such a secret behind such a human tragedy. Just when everyone fell silent at the same time, Yang Lin had already put the golden lock into the coffin. The next second he took out 3 sticks of incense and an incense burner from nowhere. While burning the incense, he began to mutter something. If you listen carefully, it is clearly a Taoist scripture about the afterlife. The scriptures that should have been boring now had a different flavor in his mouth. It feels like singing, and when you listen to it, all the distracting thoughts in everyone's mind will be eliminated. At the same time, there were bursts of black energy rising inside the red-painted wooden coffin. When they rose into the air, they all dissipated inexplicably. More than 10 minutes later, under the astonished gazes of everyone, an image of a girl made of smoke suddenly appeared on the red lacquered wooden coffin. Although it only appeared for a moment, it was so real. Everyone couldn't help but look at Yang Lin, who was chanting sutras with his eyes closed.